All right, guys, I'm going to do something a little different. My last video was kind of negative, and so I wanted to give a list of the top 10 things every Christian should research for themselves. Just some ideas. I'm not telling you what I believe, but I think these things are all things that we need to research for ourselves to understand what it means to be a Christian. The first thing is what Jesus himself says about salvation. So not saying what Paul says about salvation. You don't even need Romans. Just go through the four Gospels and look at what Jesus himself says about salvation. Now, a lot of these are gonna be a little bit different because you're not gonna. It is a very specific area you should look at. The second thing is where the second coming comes in the tribulation. I previously joked about the 1.5 coming of Christ being the pre-trib rapture idea of things. I've been exposed to a couple different other viewpoints, which I don't hold any of them. I hold one that's a little different. But where the second coming is important, because if we're being raptured out of this world before there's any type of tribulation or any type of suffering, that is a whole different type of preparation that we need to make versus if we have to go through the martyrdom of Christians. If that's something we have to go through, we need to know and prepare ourselves for it. So that's a second thing that Christians need to understand and research for themselves. I mean, get open your own Bible, turn off everything else, and look at what the Bible has to say. Maybe use a tool like a Blue Letter Bible to let you look at the interlinear and look at the Greek words, but don't look at anybody else's opinion. That's what I say, research for yourself. I'm saying it's the Bible and tools about the Bible with nobody else's opinion. I want you to see for yourself what the Bible has to say. All right, the third thing on this list of 10 is who Jesus says he is. Yeshua says he is. Now, that's not Paul. That's not even the Old Testament. Just the words of Yeshua about Yeshua. Who does Jesus say that he is? And that's mostly found in the four Gospels, but although it's found some other places. And that is very personal to me because it's one of the journeys I went on, having to research that for myself. The fourth thing is something I've seen. I think everybody's assumed they have the answer on this fourth one. They don't. Everybody, and they stop looking because they just don't care. The fourth one is what the name of God is. Research it for yourself. If you're open-minded, you will find the answer. To the seeker comes the truth. But if you're not open-minded, you're not going to get it. And that's fine. But I think it's something that's important. Because it explains more about who God is if you actually figure it out. The fifth one is what Jesus himself says about the church structure. The relationship of believers to other believers, what Jesus says about that. Not Paul, just Jesus. We're followers of the Messiah. So let's look at just what the Messiah says about the way the church should be structured. The sixth thing is something you won't find in the Bible. It's how the church looked at Paul's letters. The first century church looked at Paul's letters. Now, there are all sorts of different opinions. I read a book called Jesus Words Only, which was an interesting opinion. I know the traditional opinion, obviously. I was raised on it. But I think it's something that we should research ourselves to understand what we believe. The seventh is the term Gentiles in the New Testament. We need to understand whether that's all believers or Hellenized Jews, or what did it mean to the first century church, the term that they were using in the New Testament. Need to understand that that's highly important. The eighth one is it's personal to me. Who Solomon was when he wrote Ecclesiastes. Obviously, I wrote the book Ecclesiastes Exposed, but I think understanding who Solomon was when he wrote Ecclesiastes is very important for opening people's eyes to all sorts of things that the church taught us that weren't correct. So, I mean, if you willing to do the research, reading Second Kings, reading my book, whatever it takes, but coming to that understanding is important. The ninth one, I'm sure you heard me talk about, and then in passionate ways, about who wrote the fourth gospel. But I think you need to research it for yourself. I ran into somebody on Facebook that said that they read the fourth gospel over and over several times, and the more they read it, the more they came to the understanding that it was not written by the Apostle John, but by Lazarus. But that's something you have to research for yourself, because even if you're handed the information on a plate, oh yeah, Lazarus wrote it, here's X, Y, Z, that you're not going to change your long-held belief that the fourth gospel is written by John. You're not going to. I come to that realization. It doesn't matter how explicit one tells you something. It doesn't matter how good the information is when you're presented. If you don't do the work yourself, you're not going to come to the realization, because you didn't do the work, and if you didn't do the work yourself, it's easier just to believe what you've been taught all your life. And the 10th one is how Yahweh describes himself. That's something you should research for yourself. And so all these 10 things, if you just take even these small 10 things and do your own homework, like I said, not anybody else's opinions, not even my opinion. Just sit down, grind it out. Get one of these, find out what the Bible says about these things. If you do that bare minimum, you will have such a deeper and rich understanding of the truth of Christianity. So I hope this on the people who actually take the time to watch this, that if they would do their own research to be able to have a rich, deep understanding of who God is, who Jesus is, and a better understanding of where we relate to the church. And I pray that you would be diligent Bereans and research for yourself. Thank you.